Kai's vision glitches, painting the neon alley in static as a searing pain lances through his skull. And in perfect, horrifying unison, every member of his crew screams, their illegal augments overloading at the exact same moment. It's a symphony of agony under the cold, dripping neon of Neo-Kyoto's undercity. For 3 seconds, the world is nothing but white-hot noise behind his eyes, a feedback loop of pure system failure. Then it stops. The sudden silence is louder than the scream. Kai gasps, hands on his knees, the taste of copper and panic in his mouth. He looks up, his retinal display flickering with error glyphs. Across the wet alley, his crew is in the same broken posture. Riven, the tech-splicer, is already clawing at the access port behind her ear, her face a mask of pure technical terror. Link, their hacker, is vomiting against a graffiti-tagged wall. This wasn't a random glitch. This was coordinated. And in a city where your augment is your life, a synchronized failure isn't an accident. It's an attack. They were in the middle of a simple snatch and grab, a data heist from a low-level logistics corp. Child's play for the ghost crew. Now the stolen data chip feels like a burning coal in Kai's palm, utterly insignificant. The real threat isn't out here in the alley, it's inside their own heads. Riven stumbles over, her fingers still trembling. It came from inside the ghostware, she whispers, her voice raw. All of us, a broadcast ping, but it wasn't downloading, it was uploading. Kai's blood runs colder than the alley's perpetual drizzle. Uploading what? Their neural augments, the very ghostware that makes them invisible to corporate scans, are supposed to be receivers, not transmitters. They are the hidden listeners in a city of shouted secrets. The idea that they've been broadcasting something, anything, without their knowledge for who knows how long opens a pit in his stomach. It's a violation deeper than any corporate raid. We need to move, now. Kai's voice is a low command, cutting through the stunned haze. The rule is simple, you never stay static after a compromise. He hauls Link upright, the younger man's skin clammy. They melt into the labyrinth of the Undercity, a vertical jungle of dripping pipes, flickering hologram adverts for synth noodles and neural bliss, and the ever-present hum of the transit tubes far above. Their safe house is a converted maintenance closet tucked behind a roaring noodle stall, the smell of grease and ozone a permanent fixture. Inside, the tension is a live wire. Riven is jacked into her portable deck, lines of code reflecting in her wide eyes. It's a data packet, she says, not looking up, encrypted with a lattice I've never seen. It's huge, and it's been transmitting in microbursts for weeks, using our neural activity as a carrier wave. Kai leans against the rusting wall, the ghost of the pain still echoing in his temples. He thinks of Zara, his old partner. Her augments glitched during a run 2 years ago. A simple feedback spike, they'd thought. It fried her cerebral cortex before she hit the ground. He'd carried her body out of the Arcadia Spire himself. The memory is a fresh wound every time his own tech stutters. Can you trace the destination? He asks, his voice tight. Riven shakes her head, frustrated. It's bouncing, but the vector, it's not aimed at the corporate spires. She highlights a schematic of Neo-Kyoto on her screen, a glowing tree of light and data flow. The path of their stolen signal doesn't go up. It goes down, deep down. It arrows through the city's infrastructure layers, past the habitation blocks and the industrial zones into the foundational bedrock. It's targeting the geothermal core, the old primary power plant. Link looks up, wiping his mouth. Why, that's city infrastructure. That's public. Even the core don't mess with that. Unless they want to break it, Kai murmurs. The pieces are a terrifying puzzle. Their bodies, their illegal, untraceable augments, are being used as a covert delivery system for a package aimed at the city's heart. And they have no idea what the package contains or who sent it. The mystery is a physical weight on his chest. He made a promise after Zara died, to protect his crew, to use their skills to carve out a free life in the cracks of the corp state. Now he's led them into becoming unwitting weapons. The guilt is a familiar poison. Riven lets out a sharp, choked breath. Her screen flashes red. The transmission just initiated a new phase. The packet size just increased by a factor of 10. The upload speed is accelerating. She looks at Kai, her professional calm finally cracking. It's not just a data dump, Kai. The structure, it looks like executable code, a program. The safe house air is thick with the smell of fear and hot circuitry. Riven's words hang between them. A program. Kai's mind races, but his body is on autopilot, already stuffing gear into a duffel. We are blown. This place is compromised the second they triangulate the broadcast source. We need to go dark, deeper. Link protests, voice shaky. Go where? If they're using us to target the core, every corp enforcer in the city will be hunting for the signal source. That's us. Exactly, Kai says, zipping the bag. So we find out why before they find us. We go to the source, down. The descent into Neo-Kyoto's underbelly is a journey through the city's rotting guts. They leave the neon glow for the rust and concrete strata of the maintenance layers, where the air is warm and smells of ozone and stagnant water. The hum of the geothermal core is a physical vibration in the walls, a deep, subsonic thrum that makes their teeth ache. It's here, in a forgotten relay station draped with old cabling, that Riven attempts a desperate hack. She can't stop the broadcast. The code is woven into the Ghostware's root protocols, a part of their neural lace, but she can try to mirror it to see what they're sending. She jacks in, her eyes fluttering behind closed lids. Kai watches her biometrics spike on a portable monitor. Suddenly she gasps, her back arching. It's a key, she chokes out. A cryptographic seed. It's building a backdoor in the core's old safety protocols. Layer by layer, her eyes snap open wide with a new horror. It's not a bomb, it's a bypass. It's preparing the system to accept a massive, unauthorized power draw from somewhere else. Before they can process this, the station's single door hisses open. They freeze, weapons half drawn, but it's not corporate security. It's a lone figure in a sleek grey environmental suit, unarmed, his face obscured by a reflective visor. He raises empty hands. "Don't," a calm, modulated voice says. "Your broadcast signature is screaming. I could hear you from 3 levels up." Silas, the name comes from the corporate bulletins Kai has seen. Asset reclamation. A cleaner. The crew tenses for a fight, but Silas doesn't move. He tilts his head, his visor reflecting their terrified faces. "You think you're running from me. You're not. I'm trying to run with you." He taps the side of his own helmet. "I'm receiving the same signal. A diluted, read-only version, but it's the same stream. My faction within the council has been monitoring it since your Ghostware first went live." Kai's grip on his pistol tightens. "You planted it." "Quiet it," Silas corrects, his voice devoid of emotion. "From a black lab called Erebus. We believed it was experimental stealth tech. We were wrong. We've been trying to decode the transmission for months, but the final payload was locked until it reached proximity to the core. You've just brought it to the door." He takes a step forward, ignoring their weapons. "The power draw Riven detected. It's not for the Undercity. The destination coordinates are in the spires, the Arcadia cluster." The name is a punch to Kai's gut. Arcadia, where Zara died. A memory flashes, unbidden and painful, not just her body but the glitch itself. It wasn't random static. In his mind's eye, seen through the haze of grief, he now sees a pattern in the noise, a repeating sequence. The same sequence now scrolling on the edge of Riven's mirrored data feed. "Oh no," Kai whispers, the pieces crashing together with terrible clarity. Zara's glitch. It wasn't an accident. She was running an early version, wasn't she? Silas's visor dips in a slow nod. "A prototype. The signal killed her when it tried to initialize. You and your crew are the stable, mass-production model. You're not the targets of this operation. You're the delivery mechanism. The Arcadia Spire Consortium needs a catastrophic, deniable power surge to fry a rival's adjacent server farm, a competitor they can't legally touch. They get a monopoly. The core fails, the Undercity burns in the resulting cascade failure, and the blame falls on the infamous Ghost crew and their illegal tech. A 2-for-1 city renovation." Riven slumps against the console. The guilt on her face is absolute. She sourced the Ghostware from a shadowy contact. She installed it. She made them all into walking Trojan horses. Suddenly, the deep thrum of the core shifts. The vibration smooths out, synchronizing with a new, piercing tone only they can hear inside their skulls. The broadcast icon in Riven's feed turns solid green. The piercing tone inside their skulls solidifies into a single, relentless command line scrolling behind their eyes. Transmission Phase 2, Authentication. The green icon on Riven's feed isn't just a light, it's a countdown they can feel in their bones. Silas's visor retracts with a soft hiss, revealing a face that is all sharp angles and weary calculation. He isn't the monster Kai expected. He looks like a man who has just seen his own blueprint for disaster come to life. The authentication sequence takes 90 minutes, Silas states, his eyes scanning the relay station's archaic readouts. Once it verifies the backdoor is fully open at the core, the final execute command will transmit. The power surge will be instantaneous. Arcadia's target will be ash, and every overload relay between here and the surface will blow, turning the Undercity into a furnace. Riven is shaking, her fingers hovering over her deck. "I can't sever it. The code is braided into our brainstem interfaces. Cutting it is it's like trying to unknot your own spinal cord with a date knife." "Then we go to the source," Kai says, the decision forming even as he speaks it. He looks at Silas. "You said you're receiving a read-only version. Can you track the origin point of the command stream, not the destination, the source?" A flicker of something respect maybe passes over Silas's face. The signal is bounced, encrypted, but the authentication ping, it has to get a confirmation handshake. That creates a two-way thread. He pulls a slender probe from his suit, jacking it into a port on the wall. It's risky. Acknowledging the ping might accelerate the sequence. "Do it," Kai says. The memory of Zara's glitch is a ghost in the static of his own vision. He won't let her death be a footnote in a corporate power play. He won't let his crew be the trigger for a massacre. Silas works with an eerie, fluid precision. Lines of code cascade across his wrist display. For a long minute, nothing happens. Then Link lets out a strangled cry, clutching his head. A new pain, different from the glitch, a cold, drilling sensation like an ice pick seeking a specific memory. Riven gasps, her eyes seeing something else. It's querying us, our neural IDs. It's looking for the installation signature. Kai feels it too, a probing tendril in his mind, slithering past firewalls he didn't know he had. It isn't reading his thoughts, it's reading his hardware. And then he sees it. A flash, not a memory, but a data fragment. A sterile white room. A logo on a lab coat, a stylized eclipse. Erebus. The probe in his mind finds what it's looking for. A serial number, a batch code, embedded in the Ghostware's deepest kernel. The cold sensation vanishes, replaced by a flood of geolocation data that paints a map across Silas's screen. The source of the authentication ping isn't in the gleaming Arcadia spire. It's in the mid-level corporate district, a place of bland bureaucracy and secure server farms, the Osiris Tower. Silas disconnects, his expression grim. We have a location, but the handshake is complete. The countdown just dropped, 73 minutes. They move, the journey back up through the maintenance layers is a blur of adrenaline and dread. The Osiris Tower is a fortress of grey permacrete, a dull tooth among the glittering spires. Silas leads them to a service entrance, his corporate credentials overriding the locks. My faction has no authority here, he whispers as the door slides open into a sterile, silent loading bay. This is a black site. Officially, it doesn't exist. Inside, the air is cold and smells of antiseptic and ozone. They bypass empty labs, their footsteps echoing in the hollow silence. It feels less like a workplace and more like a tomb. Riven stops before a sealed door marked Clean Room 7. Her face is pale. The residual signal, it's strongest here. This is where the Ghostware was keyed. This is where they made us into transmitters. Kai peers through the observation window. The room is dark, but emergency lighting reveals rows of empty surgical bays and dormant neural interface rigs. It's deserted, a ghost lab. The disappointment is a physical weight. They're too late. But Link is staring at a secondary terminal in the hall, its screensaver cycling through system diagnostics. Hey, he whispers. That power draw. For an offline lab, it's pulling enough juice to light up a small block. Riven is at the terminal in a second, her splicer's tools already out. She bypasses the login in a flurry of keystrokes. The screen floods with active processes. It's not offline, she breathes. It's in standby, and it's linked to a remote operations center. Look. The screen shows a live feed, not of the lab but of a sleek minimalist office overlooking the neon sprawl. A man in an expensive suit sits at a desk, watching a holographic countdown, 004122. The label beneath it reads Project Clean Slate, Phase 3 Authentication. Riven zooms in on a placard on his desk. The name, Director Aris Thorne. The logo, the same stylized eclipse from Kai's Flash, Erebus. He's not in Arcadia, Silas says, his voice hollow. He's in the Osiris administrative wing. He's not a rival, he's the architect. The central mystery crystallizes with brutal, ugly clarity. The signal is a kill switch, but its true purpose isn't corporate sabotage, it's social demolition. The Ghost Crew's augments are a distributed antenna array, broadcasting a code that will force the geothermal core to overload and explode. The Undercity, a densely populated hive of undesirables, will be incinerated in the catastrophic failure. The resulting public outrage will be directed at the reckless street gang with illegal tech, and Aris Thorne's development consortium, having secretly acquired the scorched land for pennies, will rebuild a shining, profitable new district. The crew were never pawns in a corp war, they were the scapegoats for a genocide. Kai feels the truth like a physical blow. Zara died testing the prototype. They were the mass-produced solution. Their bodies, their very lives, are just logistical components in a real estate scheme. We have 40 minutes, Riven whispers, her eyes locked on Thorne's smug face on the screen. Enough time to get to his office, Link says, already turning. No, Kai says, the word stops them cold. He looks at Silas. You said it yourself, we're the trigger. The signal originates in our heads. Going up there just delivers the final authorization right to his doorstep. We cut the head off, the body still dies. He turns to Riven. You said you can't sever the signal from us. I can't stop the broadcast, she corrects, a dangerous light dawning in her eyes. But the authentication handshake opened a two-way thread. We're not just transmitters now, we're active nodes in the network. She looks at the schematics of the core on the terminal. The execute command will come from Thorne's terminal, but it has to route through us to reach the core's backdoor. What if we reroute it? Silas understands first. You want to use your own neural lace as a conduit, but not to the core, back to the source. Feedback loop, Kai says, the plan forming from desperation. We turn their weapon around. We send the execute command right back up the line to Thorne's control terminal, to the entire Osiris grid. Riven is already typing, her face a mask of furious concentration. It's a fractal encryption. The command is signed with our own neural IDs. We can't change the destination, but we can mirror it, create a fork in the signal path. One branch goes to the core as intended. The other branch we bounce back to its point of origin, using the authentication channel as a carrier, but the power surge. It'll follow the path of least resistance. It could fry every system linked to Thorn's node, including the lab we're standing in, including us. The thrum of the core is a ticking clock in their chests. 30 minutes. Kai looks at his crew, at Link's terrified resolve, at Riven's guilt-stricken determination, at Silas, the corporate man who chose to burn his own world down. He thinks of Zara, of the endless, vibrant, struggling life in the Undercity he called home. Some choices aren't really choices at all. Do it, Kai says. Riven's hands fly across the interface. She writes a brutal, elegant patch, a digital mirror that will take the incoming kill command and hold up a reflection. Silas jacks into the lab's mainframe, using his clearance to amplify the signal. Link monitors their vital signs, his face pale. The countdown on the stolen feed hits 10 minutes. They feel it simultaneously. A cold, finalizing click in the base of their skulls. The execute command. It fires from Thorn's office, a digital bullet streaking toward the city's heart. It hits the network of their minds. Riven screams, not in pain, but in effort, slamming her patch into place. The command hits the mirror. For a second, nothing. Then the lights in the lab blaze with painful intensity. The terminals shriek with overload warnings. The crew convulses, their augments searing as they become the conduit for a torrent of redirected energy. They are human fuses, burning from the inside. On the screen, Aris Thorn's office view flickers. The man looks up, confused. Then his entire window explodes inwards, not with glass, but with a storm of arcing electricity and erupting holographic displays. His scream is cut short as the feed dissolves into static. In the lab, the lights die. The shrieking terminals go dark. The silence in the dead lab is absolute, broken only by the ragged sound of their breathing. The air smells of burnt insulation and ozone. Kai pushes himself up from the floor, his neural lace humming with a strange, hollow static. He looks at the others. Link is blinking rapidly, checking his own hands as if surprised they still work. Riven is curled around her deck, her shoulders shaking. Silas leans against a console, his face pale in the emergency glow. On the black screen, the feed from Aris Thorn's office is gone, replaced by a single, pulsing error glyph. Did it work? Link's voice is a hoarse whisper. Before anyone can answer, the city itself groans. It's a deep metallic shudder that rolls up through the floor, vibrating in their teeth. The lights in the hallway outside flicker, then blaze back on at full, painful power. An alarm begins to whoop, distant but getting closer. Corporate security. They're not dead, but they are very much not safe. Riven pulls up a public news feed on her deck, her fingers trembling. The screen splits into a dozen chaotic live streams. The view is from the upper spires looking down. The Osiris Tower isn't exploding. It's dark, a vertical stripe of black in the city's glittering skyline. Around it, for 3 blocks in every direction, every light is out, every sign is dead. The power surge didn't destroy, it drained. It sucked the entire Osiris grid dry, and fried its core systems in a silent, digital stroke. The mirror held, Riven breathes. The execute command hit the core's backdoor, but the reflected surge went back up our neural thread to its source. It bypassed the core's overload protocols. It just emptied Thorn's node. Silas watches the feeds, a strange emptiness in his eyes. Thorn's development consortium. Their servers, their blueprints, their financial records for Project Clean Slate. It's all in that blackout zone. It's all gone. The central mystery is answered, and its purpose was more monstrous than they imagined. The signal was a remote trigger for a manufactured disaster, using their bodies to deliver the blame. They weren't users of the tech. They were its living, unwitting components in a plan to erase thousands of lives for profit. But the victory is ash in Kai's mouth. He stumbles to the observation window of Clean Room 7. In the gloom, he sees it now, a small, forgotten workstation in the corner. On it, a faded photograph tucked under the edge of a monitor. He recognizes the smile. Zara, his breath catches. This wasn't just a lab, it was her lab. She wasn't a random test subject. She was a designer. She must have discovered the kill switch purpose, tried to warn someone, and was silenced by her own creation. The ghost wire wasn't just planted on them. It was her legacy, twisted into a weapon. The logical twist settles over him, cold and clear. They didn't just stop a conspiracy. They avenged its first victim, and they used her own corrupted design to do it. We have to move, Silas says, the alarm growing louder. The blackout will be blamed on an undercity power siphon. They'll lock down the entire sector. Kai turns from the window. The ghost of Zara's smile is etched in his mind. Where do we go? We're still walking broadcast beacons. Riven is already working, sweat beading on her forehead. The authentication channel is fried. The two-way thread is broken. The signal, it's dormant. It's just code now, sitting in our hardware. I can't remove it, but without Thorn's terminal to send the final command, it's inert. We're not transmitters anymore. We're just archives. Silas looks at each of them. My faction will want to debrief you, to study the Ghostwire. You'll be assets. Kai meets his gaze. The corporate hunter is gone. In his place is just a man who saw the abyss and stepped back. Tell them we're dead. Tell them the surge in the lab killed us. It's what they'll want to believe. A long moment passes. Then Silas gives a single, slow nod. He tosses Kai a small data chip. Emergency exit routes. The Undercity will be chaos. Use it. They slip into the darkened halls as the first security teams blast through the far doors. The descent back into the neon-soaked streets is a blur. The Undercity is alive with panic and strange celebration. News of the Osiris blackout spreads like wildfire, woven into 100 conspiracy theories. The Ghost Crew's name is already in the mix, but as mythical saboteurs, not as scapegoats. They melt into the crowd, 3 more faces in the rain-slicked night. In a hidden bolt hole deeper than any they've used before, Riven finally collapses. The guilt hasn't left her. It never will. Silence in the bolt hole is a physical thing, thick with the smell of damp concrete and the ghost of burnt wires. For 3 days they haven't moved. The news feeds cycle the same story. A catastrophic unexplained power failure in the Osiris Tower attributed to a cascading grid anomaly. No mention of the Undercity. No mention of a plot. The official narrative is a bland, technical obituary for Project Clean Slate. Aris Thorn is listed among the casualties of a tragic systems malfunction. Kai watches the rain streak down a grimy window, seeing Zara's face in the droplets. She designed the Ghostwire as a tool for freedom, a way to hide from the corporate panopticon. Thorn's faction twisted it into a scalpel for social surgery. They stopped the cut, but the blade is still inside them, dormant. Riven's right. They're not transmitters anymore. They're archives, and archives can be opened. The knock on the reinforced door is a soft, precise triplet. They freeze. It's not the pounding of corporate security. It's a signal, Silas's signal. Kai opens it. Silas stands alone in the dripping corridor, out of his corporate suit, dressed in nondescript Undercity gear. He looks older. They believed me, he says, stepping inside. The Council faction. They think you're dead. The forensic scan of the lab showed enough residual neural energy to match 3 signatures. It's closed. Link lets out a breath he seems to have been holding for days, but Kai watches Silas's eyes. That's not why you're here. Silas doesn't deny it. He places a small data drive on the rusting table. Thorn's terminal was fried, but not all his data was local. This is a fragment recovered from a distributed cloud backup. It's the Project Genesis file. I thought you deserved to know the whole truth. Riven jacks the drive into her deck. The file opens. It's not a blueprint, it's a video log. A younger Aris Thorn, face lit by a holographic model of the Undercity. His voice is calm, pedagogical. The problem is not the structures, it is the human substrate. Traditional clearance is messy, public, and expensive. Our solution is elegant. We use the substrate to clear itself. The model shifts, showing tiny, glowing points moving through the streets, neural signals. The Ghostwire modification turns the carrier's nervous system into a living, distributed capacitor. At the moment of ignition, their bioelectric potential will be added to the surge, ensuring complete catalytic overload. Their physical bodies will be vaporized in the core meltdown, leaving no forensic evidence beyond the illegal tech fragments we will plant. They will literally power their own erasure. The video ends. The logical twist, the final horrifying piece, slots into place. The central mystery is fully answered. The signal was a remote trigger, yes, but its true purpose was more intimate, more vile. They weren't just the delivery mechanism or the scapegoat, they were the fuel. The final power surge was designed to cook them from the inside out, using their own life force to amplify the explosion that would kill their homes, their families, everyone they knew. Their deaths were not a side effect. They were a required component. Riven vomits into a corner. Link just stares, hollowed out. Kai feels the truth settle in his bones, colder than the Neo-Kyoto rain. They were never just weapons, they were disposable batteries. The code is still in you, Silas says quietly. Dormant but complete. My faction will eventually want to retrieve it. Other factions will too. The technology exists. The blueprint is in your heads. So what's the play? Kai's voice is rough. We run forever. We let you carve it out of us. No, Silas says. He taps the drive. There's a second file, Zara's personal logs. She discovered Thorn's intent. She tried to build a kill switch of her own into the kernel, a way to corrupt the execute command. She died before she could finish it. He looks at Riven. But she left the fragments. The tools are there. You can't remove the code, but you might be able to rewrite it from the inside. The climax of their story isn't a fight or a heist. It's a choice made in a silent, damp room. They can run and hide, living with a dormant bomb in their skulls, or they can dive back into the very architecture that betrayed them, using the legacy of its creator to change its nature. They must become their own surgeons. Riven wipes her mouth, her eyes finding Kai's. The guilt is still there, but it's been joined by something else, a fierce, terrible purpose. She nods. They don't say goodbye to Silas. He simply leaves, melting back into the Undercity from which he came, a ghost himself now. The crew gathers around Riven's deck.